Okay, so we got a 2011 Dodge Ram 1500. The blower motor's not working. Before we start, I always like to get the diagram, even on a simple circuit that the blower motor generally is. But this is why you want to kind of know what you're working with. So on this particular make and model, you have a manual AC control head and an automatic. And the blower motor circuit is different on both of them, so you got to know what you're working on. So what this truck has is just your typical manual control head. So you've got your off, and then your different blower speeds, then your hot and cold, and then your different modes. You know, your out of your vents or your defrosters or down at the floor. There is no automatic to this control head. And let me show you the difference here. So on this truck, we have your typical blower motor. It's got power fed from a blower motor relay. So we should have power at this terminal here, terminal 2. Terminal 1 is just looking for a ground. And it gets its ground from the control head, the knob, you know, that has your speeds. You can see here it's grounded, goes through, and depending on where you have that selected, puts the ground on these legs here, and that's what determines how many of these resistors the voltage is going to go through. So if you used to take this completely out, you're always going to have high, or should, as long as your control head's working, you're going to have high. High is a straight shot, straight to the blower motor. Bypasses the blower motor resistor. In other words, high does not go through any resistors at all. And then whenever you go to low, you're going to be going through all the resistors. You go to M1, you're going through 2. You go to M2, you're going through 1. Then when you're going to high, you bypass all of them, and it's a straight shot. So that's the way this circuit works. This one, you have your blower motor, and similar, you have constant power. I wanted to print this big enough where you could read it, so I kind of cut part of it off. But here on pin 2, just like over here, constant power. Coming up here, if you was to follow this wire, it's going to the same relay, blower motor relay. So we would have power sitting right here. Now, it's also tapped off the same wire, and it feeds power to the blower module. The blower module is grounded. And again, you got power right here. And then the blower motor high driver right here is what determines how much of a ground it's going to give the blower motor, depending on what speed you want. And then this wire here runs down to the control head where it says blower control. This little box right here that I cut off because the print would have been too small for you to see it, that's the control head. So depending on where that knob is set determines what signal the blower module gets. So these are tested in different ways. And I'm going to make this quick. I'm going to get a test light. That's all I'm going to use on this one. And we're going to determine if we have a bad blower resistor, or if we have a bad blower motor, or if we have a bad control head. That can be bad too. So I'm going to turn the camera off, get my test light. Next time I turn it on, we'll be over there under the dash where the blower motor and the blower motor resistor is at. And we're going to see what we got going on. Okay, so I've got the diagram over here on the passenger side. Got my test light. The key's on. I think the key's on. Yeah, the key is on. And got the blower motor control. There's definitely no blower motor action, not even in high. Now that generally means you got a bad blower motor, or you could have bad control head. The reason I'm kind of suspecting it's not the blower motor resistor is because if you remember, you bypass the resistor, if I was to unplug this resistor completely, I should still have high whenever I turn the control head to high, because you're bypassing the resistor altogether. You're sending the ground, a direct ground, straight through this switch on the control head and then straight up to the blower motor. And that's the way a lot of them are wired. Generally, if you only have high, you can suspect that the blower motor resistor is what your problem is. Because usually what happens is one of these legs open up, and usually it's the leg that no matter what switch or what speed you've got commanded here, it's always going through that particular leg. In other words, it'd be this one right here. It'd be 3 to 1. Let's see here. Yeah, it'd be this resistor right here would eventually open up, because on all three, other than high, on every other speed, you're at least going through this resistor here. This resistor's got your high, your low, your medium 1, and your medium 2, and then your high. So these two resistors here don't work unless you're going through either low or medium 1. But this one here will always work. Or I say work, it'll always have current flow through it, unless you're on high, and then none of them will. Anyway, hopefully that made sense. I don't know if it did. But, so I've got the blower motor disconnected here. Hopefully you're seeing that, because I do not know what you're seeing right now. Key is on, blower motor is on. We're just gonna take a deep T-pin. Very first thing you want to do is see what you have here. Now, what I'm hoping is we have power and ground. In other words, hopefully this test light lights up. And it does. So the blower motors is bad. Now, you would think, okay, so I just turned the control off. I'm going to go to low. Test lights on. I'm going to go to medium 1. Now you have to look really, really close in order to see a change, and there's a slight change. I'm going to go to medium 2. Very, very, very slight change. You may not even be able to see it on the camera. I'm going to go to high. And there was a slight change there. The reason you don't see a big change is because the incandescent light does not pull enough current to benefit from the dimming of what these resistors should do. Whether it goes through all the resistors or one or none, the light looks pretty close to the same, because the resistors just aren't enough of a resistance to cause that light to dim. But I can barely see every time I go to the control whenever I turn the knob. I can barely see a change, and then of course you got off. So that tells me that the control head up here is good, that it's providing the ground that we need. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Your resistor is this job right here. There's your wires. Unplug it, drops down. If you needed to replace this, then you got 2 screws right here that's going to drop down. But right now I know that this needs a blower motor, just based on what I've seen right there. So I'm going to get the tools that I need to change this blower motor out. What is it that we need here? 8mm or Phillips maybe. Once I get this out, I'll order us up a blower motor and go pick it up. Leave that one in for now. Get this back one. Hopefully you're getting to see this. I can't see the back of the GoPro screen to see what all you're seeing. Okay, I'm gonna have to go order a blower motor and go pick it up. So stand by. Okay, I'm back with the new blower motor. First thing I always do is take a look at the new versus the old. Make sure they look identical, or at least close to it. Now sometimes there will be minor differences, but this definitely, the mounting points here look identical. The little vent right here to keep the motor cool looks identical. So let's go over here and get this puppy in. Call this job a done deal. Get you set up here. Hopefully you can see. Okay, see what happens. All right, one blower motor changed out. And that's how easy it can be. Remember though, if you have the automatic control head, it's a little different. And I'm sure one of those will be coming through before too long, and I'll show how that's done. Anyway, that's about all I got today. Quick blower motor change and troubleshoot. You guys take care.